Hello there, good morning. Josh here with a quick run through of the 505 Ascot Stakes on day one over on the blog, well, below this video if you're watching it. Within the blog post, you can see my trends profile for this race. With any luck, it may hold up, it may not, of course, but that particular profile has found every winner of the last 11 years and 14 of the last 16. So fingers crossed. And the ones that highlights are the very man here for Jesse Harrington, Tritonic, who placed in the race last year of £5 higher, which automatically makes him of mild interest, I suppose. Carl of Lochalsh for Hughie Morrison, unexposed 4-year-old who won well last time, but on very soft ground, very different to today. Get Shirty, who is very well handicapped for David O'Meara. Pledge of Allegiance, Son of Sea the Stars for Sir Mark Prescott, and Luke Morris, who is also unexposed as a stayer, and Tenerife Sunshine down here for Charlie Johnston. As per my note above, this week I tend to focus on my content, those trainer jockey combo qualifiers. Hope Jamie Spencer may ride a big price winner or placed horse on the straight course, but sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And yeah, have a bit of fun with some kind of beer money on Betfair. I find these races in particular, I enjoy attacking the handicaps with my own unique trends and trainer profiles, but they're obviously bloody hard to win, and they're the most competitive flat handicaps run of the year. At least for the first few days, we have consistent ground, good to firm, good in places, no rain forecast until at least Thursday. They've been watering, and this may well be the fastest ground some of these horses, or most horses actually, have faced all season, and we'll see what kind of effect that has on some of the form, but it may well lead to the odd surprising result, or horses bouncing back to form previously shown on very fast turf. Looking at this race, in terms of the big price ones, firstly, let me just touch on the pace quickly. This is the pace map. I'm in GG's stall number 1 here, which obviously be against the inside rail. Stall 20 here. That puts me off a bit of Tenerife Sunshine. Those drawn in 20 or 0 from 15 places of the last 16 years. It is pretty hard from that wide over this particular course and distance, historically at least. I suppose that's because James Doyle on this particular occasion has to decide whether to use a fair bit of gas to go forward, or he just drops him out and tucks him in. That does, of course, mean a big danger of having a load of horses on your inside and being wide at the bends, or in order to avoid that, you have to go really far back, and you can be a bit too far off the pace. You'll have a lot of running to do as you turn for home, and of course have a wall of horses in front, and it may mean he needs to pick his way through if the horse is good enough, or challenge wide, again using up a lot of petrol. But he is currently 20 to 1. Maybe he can overcome that. He is a last time out winner 9 days ago. It'd be quite a performance to back up. But I suppose if I just focus on my trends list, that puts me off him somewhat. In terms of other pace downhill, Pledge of Allegiance, he was slow away at Goodwood when last seen, but soon picked up the bridle. He may not want to fall out of the stalls again, otherwise he might find himself a bit trapped on the rail. However, as you can see, there's not loads of pace on paper in this race. As I said, those out wider may want to kind of go forward and get across. The Fahy horse can go forward, but yeah, Sir Mark's raced handily last time, which will be good for him. Tritonic raced fairly handy in this race last year as well, so he might be up there in the right spot, and neither of those two particular horses, of those from my trends list, will have to use too much gas, hopefully, to get a kind of prominent handy position if their jockeys so wish. So that might well be a positive for them, and they could be in the best position to strike. So yeah, that's the pace map on that score, and we'll see how it goes. But it does look like, well, on paper it doesn't look like it's going to be overly strongly run, and you'll either need to be very well handicapped and have a fair few gears to come from further back, I suspect. But over this kind of trip, obviously stamina is paramount. If I just touch on, there's two bigger price horses. The Very Man, these horses might be 30 to 1 plus on Betfair. and whether or not they can sneak into kind of the top 5 or 6, we shall see. But yeah, if I just touch on the Very Man quickly, he is 10. He is a course winner around here in the Shergar Cup, where he did win easily off £7 lower. He is £7 higher. He's clearly not getting any better as a 10-year-old, but he's been fairly consistent on the turf. Good to firm ground is a slight question for him. It's more of an unknown. He's got wins on the flat on good and staying on performances on good. He's historically looked like he's preferred a bit of cut before, but at the Curragh in this race he was staying on. The interesting thing for him is the fact that he is well, not unexposed, but he hasn't had many goes over 20 furlongs on the flat. He's actually had no goes, as you can see here, on 20 furlongs on the flat. So in that sense, is 20 furlongs on the flat what this kind of 10-year-old and his legs slowing down a bit, is that what he actually needs? He does arrive in form. He got outpaced around here in this listed race and stayed on kind of under tender handling, but I could see him running into the places, actually, the Very Man. I think he'll stay. He certainly stays at over hurdles. It could be what he now wants. You would think there's something better treated, but he's got course form. Jesse Harrington's in form. Doesn't tend to tilt at windmills this week too much. And yeah, I think he's a lively outsider to be in the top 5 or 6. I would think younger legs and better handicap horses may have him kind of late on, but you never know. That is the interesting thing with him, is his first try really over this sort of trip on the flat and on decent ground, and that might well be transformative. You never know. Horses under big weights have won this before, so that's the Very Man. He's kind of interesting, and well, I probably might chuck a couple of quid at him just at Betfair SP at what may be a big price. Who else on the list? Tritonic. I suppose he's of natural interest. He was, let's have a look, he was third in this, beaten 2.5 lengths last year. Kind of a blanket for the place as the winner kind of bolted up. He is at least £5 lower, and he does enter this year as a fresher horse. He's only had 2 goes. This has no doubt been the plan, been the early season plan. It may well help him that he's arriving here having fewer miles on the clock. He'd obviously done a fair bit of racing by the time he rocked up in this last year. He's got less actual weight on his back, 9.7 instead of 9.12. And he was lugging, obviously, a big weight there, so that may well help him. Ross Orion is back on for the first time this season. I think that's important. Ross is riding superbly. He obviously knows the horse well. Alan has put cheek pieces on him. He's only worn them 4 times before. They haven't really seemed to do much, but they're not a negative as such. They're obviously just trying different things. He's getting an older horse. They come on for the first time this season. Maybe they'll help him travel a bit more kindly through the early part of the race and help Rosser kick on. As per that pace map, I think he'll be in the right position. Again, if he runs like he did last year, I'd be surprised if he's out of the first 5 or 6 here. Simply because he does stay. He likes the course and distance. I think the ground is fine, although maybe a bit more ease is preferable. But he's got form on faster ground in his younger days. And yeah, he's drawn in a good place. He's not going to have to use too much energy to get in a handy spot. He'll be able to lob along, and he will keep galloping all the way to the line. So I can see why he'd have his supporters at a double-figure price. And he's another one I may want on side for mild interest. And yeah, well, he is better handicapped than last year, so maybe he will go even closer this year. Carl Lochalsh. Now, 4-year-olds have won this, but only one in the last 16 years from about 60 runners. It is pretty hard doing as a 4-year-old. Visually, he doesn't look the most biggest and robust, not if I compare him to how Pledge of Allegiance looked, having watched their last couple of races. He's completely unexposed over 20 furlongs, of course, but is a fair step up in trip. He's yet to win beyond 14 furlongs. He is only a 4-year-old. That performance there was on very, very soft ground. Good to firm is the complete kind of unknown here in that sense. He has got a win on good last year at Newbury, but obviously his better performance there, career best to date, was on very soft ground at Salisbury. He travels strongly. He might arguably travel a bit too strongly and do a bit too much, and he is usually held up So it'll be interesting to see if they do the same again. I suppose of those on the trends list, he's one I'm least interested in backing, but having said that, we know what happens now. Huey's doing okay, in decent form, does well when he moves his horses in trip by a fair whack. The horse is related to, there's some 1 mile 6 winners on the page, but yeah, completely different ground, obviously up in class, up £10 as well. I thought he didn't get into the Copper House, the last race on the card. That's where they wanted to run him, I think, over 1 mile 6, but was a bit too high. But he, yeah, gets into this. It looks a slightly big ask, given, yeah, I'd probably be more confident as a 4-year-old if he had form over 2 miles already, rather than 1 mile 6. But yeah, I suppose the last time out winner that bolted up, so don't let me put you off. But I'm a bit so-so on him. Get Shirty is another interesting outsider for David O'Meara, big price. As you can see, he is a course winner. The Copper House, he won 2 years ago, last race on the card here, off 99. He is off 90 here today. Well, clearly he's well handicapped on that form. He's not progressive. He like Tritonic, is looking to capture, well, and the very man, I'd be looking to capture kind of past glories, and all of those types are open to attack from horses still kind of making their way up the scale, and unexposed stayers. But that kind of proven ability to handle the course, to handle good to firm ground, which he gets for the first time here. He's clearly versatile. He stays 1 mile 6 fairly well, but beyond that is a question. 2 miles he kind of stayed here at Ripon in a small field, but his aging kind of legs and slowing down a bit. It could be a bit like the very man that 2 mile 4 is now what he wants. I suspect this has been the plan all season. They've got his mark down. He didn't run too badly at Goodwood. I'm not quite sure he was in love with the track, kind of hanging towards the rail, and struggled to keep his balance a bit. But he travelled well, and he has travelled well the last twice. Hasn't quite picked up, but then stayed on. So they now go over this extreme distance, and Danny Tudhope's back on for the first time this season. He obviously rode him to victory in this Ascot race a couple of years ago. Clearly he's not getting better, but he is interesting, a bit like the very man in terms of the older horse brigade, in the sense that this trip is an unknown. I do not know for sure that he does not stay. The slight inkling is he might find this trip too far, but he's a big price to find out. He travels well. Clearly the course is no problem. Of the kind of bigger price ones, I do think he's mildly interesting if he stays. If he does stay, he could be thereabouts in the places, but he's a big price, and another one for small change on Betfair for me. And yeah, I'm in danger of backing 4 horses in this race, but there we go. And at double figures, I think I want some marks on side for a bit of fun. Yes, he is a 4-year-old. He does look a big brute of a horse. Son of Sea the Stars, hasn't done much wrong yet. This Goodwood race, they didn't go that quick. He looked like he got a bit sweaty before the race. He over-raced through it. He was quite keen through most of the race, which is impressive that he just kept on at the end. If he can settle a bit better behind maybe a bit more pace this time, he's well drawn in one to kind of get out. He might get a bit of cover on the rail. He certainly stays 2 miles well at class 3 level. Again, he could transform for this extra half a mile in trip. Maybe it will come a bit too soon at this stage of his career, but we'll trust Sir Mark. He looks like he'll just gallop and gallop and gallop, which may be what you want here late on in the piece. He has nothing on his back, at least. And yeah, he ticks my trends profile, and at a double figure price, he looks like he wants faster ground. He's got performances on good and good to firm. Yeah, he's won on good to firm when he was younger, and yeah, he's interesting of the younger unexposed brigade at a big price. So yeah, kind of those 4. I may split a £10 note across them on Betfair for a bit of interest. The Very Man, Tritonic, Get Shirty, and Pledge of Allegiance, and we will see if any of those 4 give me a bit of excitement entering the last couple of furlongs or not. And yeah, hopefully Carl of Lochalsh doesn't bolt up or the Mark Johnson horse. They're the ones on my trends profile. But with that said, I've been talking for plenty long enough. I am just going to focus on that trends profile, as I said, and hope it holds in this particular race. But yes, best of luck with whatever you're backing. And yeah, until next time, good luck with any bets on Ascot on day one, and I'll be back at some point as the week progresses. Yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, best of luck with any wagers. Cheers.